This is TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. I am Adesu Suyi, and this is Africa Now. Veteran President Idriss Deby, who ruled Chad for 30 years, has died of injuries suffered on the front line while fighting rebels in the north of the Sahel country, an army spokesman said on Tuesday. General Azem Bamunda Agona, in a statement read out on a state television, said Deby, who's 68 years old, breathed his last breath while defending the sovereign nation on the battlefield over the weekend. This comes just a day after he was re-elected for a sixth term with 79.32% of the vote. Provisional election results showed shortly after the army said it had defeated a rebellion launched on election day and killed more than 300 enemies advancing on the capital, N'Djamena. Deby came to power in a rebellion in 1990 and was one of Africa's longest-serving leaders. Somalia's President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo has called on the African Union to lead talks in the dispute over election in his country, a process that could lead to a free and fair election. The president said all stakeholders would participate in the talks for the future of the country's democracy. The Somali president visited Democratic Republic of Congo President Felix Tshisekedi in Kinshasa, who is also the African Union chairperson. President Tshisekedi welcomed the Somali president's willingness and the spirit of African solidarity to confide in him as current president of the African Union in accordance with the relevant provisions of the AU Charter. The African Union had condemned the extension of Farmajo's term in office by 2 years as voted by the Somali parliament last week. Speaking to the press, the two heads of state said they had discussed bilateral relations. Elections in Somalia have been delayed because of disagreement among regional and federal governments. The charges against several personalities, including a former prime minister and a star radio host since December, accused of preparing a coup d'etat with mysterious outlines, has been dropped. This was confirmed by Mali's Supreme Court on Monday. Nearly after 4 months in detention, the 5 detained personalities, including the activist and radio host Mohamed Yusuf Bathily, known as Rasbath, were released on Monday afternoon. By virtue of his rank, ex-Prime Minister Boubou Cissé appeared in the case as the possible instigator of this alleged new coup. An arrest warrant was issued for him in late 2020, but he was not arrested. Reacting in a statement, Cissé said the decision by the Supreme Court puts a definitive end to the sinister case and hopefully to the unnecessary persecution and attempts to undermine his honor and dignity as part of an imaginary plot. A report commissioned by the Rwandan government concludes that France was aware that a genocide was being prepared in Rwanda ahead of the 1994 killings. Consequently, the French government bears significant responsibility for enabling a foreseeable genocide. The report published on Monday on the Rwandan government website said, between April and July of 1994, some 800,000 people were slaughtered, mainly from the ethnic Tutsi minority, but also some Hutus. The 600-page report says the France did nothing to stop the massacres in April and May 1994, and in the years after the genocide, it rather tried to cover up its role and even offered protection to some perpetrators. In a bid to ease the congestion in Zimbabwe's jails to reduce the threat of the coronavirus, the release of about 3,000 prisoners under a presidential amnesty program has begun. Those to be released had been convicted of non-violent crimes. Those convicted of crimes such as murder, treason, human trafficking, and sexual offenses will not benefit. All female imprisoned for non-violent crimes and who served a third of their sentences are to be released, as will all disabled persons convicted of non-violent crimes. Mnangagwa also commuted death sentences to life sentences for many prisoners on death row. Zimbabwe still has the death penalty but has not hanged anyone in years. Before the amnesty declared by President Emmerson Mnangagwa, Zimbabwe's prisons have a capacity of 17,000 prisoners but held about 22,000. This is your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. You're watching Africa Now, business and sports after the break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. Coffee stenophilia, a wild coffee species from West Africa thought to be extinct outside Ivory Coast, has been rediscovered. The forgotten coffee plant can grow in warmer conditions, which scientists say could help future-proof the drink against climate change. The plant was recently rediscovered growing wild in Sierra Leone, where it was historically grown as a coffee crop about a century ago. A small sample of coffee beans from Sierra Leone and Ivory Coast were roasted and made into coffee, which was then tasted by a panel of coffee connoisseurs. They also modeled climate data for the plant, which suggests it can potentially tolerate temperatures at least 6 degrees Celsius higher than Arabica. Seedlings will be planted this year in order to start accessing the wild coffee's potential in safeguarding the future of high-quality coffee. In business, the construction of the East African Crude Oil Pipeline, a 1,445-kilometer project stretching from the coastal region of Tanga to Uganda, is set to begin following an approval from Tanzania's government. Dr. Medad Kalemani, Tanzania's Minister for Energy, told journalists that the negotiation process that had started in May 2017 was finally complete. Between 10,000 and 15,000 jobs are expected to be created once the project kicks off. Once completed, the project will be the longest heated crude oil pipeline in the world. An agreement to resolve the persistent trade dispute between Kenya and Uganda has been reached following a 7-day visit by officials from Nairobi to Kampala. Kenya will import up to 90,000 metric tons of Ugandan sugar per year, and from July 1st, when the new financial year begins, abolish a 35% excise duty on liquid petroleum gas cylinders manufactured in Uganda under the new framework of the trade cooperation. According to a joint communique issued after the meetings, Kenya authorities will immediately implement the March 2019 Joint Ministerial Commission decision that allowed Uganda to export to Kenya duty-free 90,000 metric tons of wholly originating sugar annually. In response to the concession, Uganda has committed to abolishing 13% excise duty on Kenyan manufactured juices, malted beers and spirits with effect from July 1st, and also scrap a 12% verification fee on pharmaceutical manufactured in Kenya. In sports, in a bid to step up precautions against the spread of COVID-19 in sports, the Kenyan government has assembled a medical consortium that will formulate a bubble training and containment method and also draw up team travel and event preparations protocols. Amina Mohammed, the Sports Cabinet Secretary, in a statement said the inaugural bubble training camps at the Moy International Sports Center and Kenyatta University have commenced.
To give our athletes safety a net to make sure that they get that COVID-19 protection passport.
The Cabinet Secretary further stated that strict adherence to COVID-19 protocols will be implemented this week when Naivasha, hosts a closed-door Equator Rally on Saturday and Sunday. The Equator Rally is an important fixture of the African Rally Championship and will run as a test event for the June 24 to 17 WRC Safari Rally. The Federation of Ugandan Football Association, FUFA, in a statement on Monday said the head coach of the Ugandan men's national team, Jonathan McKinstry, reached an agreement with FUFA to bring an end to his 18 months at the helm of the Ugandan Cranes. This is following the team's poor show at the African Nations Championship, CHAN, in Cameroon. The 35-year-old's tenure lasted just 1 year and a half. Uganda failed to qualify for the 2014 competition to be held in Cameroon next year, drawing outrage from football fans in the country. The national team has also been hit by a string of retirements since the AFCON disappointment. That is Africa Now. For more updates, do visit our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. Do also follow and like our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. Do stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS Television Network. I am Adesuwa Osuyi. Thank you for watching.